Let us try to execute this program where we are trying to find the average of numbers stored in an array. Now, we declare integer variables as average, I, and say sum, which we will initialize to 0. Now, we will declare an integer array, say marks, and say there are 8 students in the class. This is nothing but array declaration. Fine. Then we come to the other part where we will try to enter the elements in an array at the runtime using for loop. Enter the elements in, or enter, let us say, enter the marks of the students. Enter the marks of the students. And this is the scanf statement that we were discussing earlier. We will write %d because this is an integer array. And then when we will write at the address of marks of I. Okay. When the I is 0, whatever we will enter will get stored at the 0th location. When it is 1, whatever we enter with scanf will enter at the at the second location, and so on. Now after this, we will try to now read out whatever we have stored, and for that again the same for loop. This time, because there is only one statement following if, so we need not give the curly brackets. Now that we have the sum collected in this variable, we shall now try to find the average, where average is equal to sum divided by the total number of students that we have in the class, or the total number of entries that we have. Average marks of the students is equal to, and then we will write average. Fine. Now this is the entire code, and we will try to now run it. We have chosen C language. Now see, it has prompted me to enter the marks of the students. I will enter 8 marks now. Okay. All right. Because I didn't write this here, so it didn't give me the average marks. Now again, it is compiling my program and prompting me for values that I have to enter. So the average marks of the students in the class is 5. This is how we can enter the elements in an array, and this is how we can read the elements from the array. Now, Having done this, let us talk some more about arrays. There are different ways in which we can initialize the values of the array. One is where we can give the subscript number or the size of the elements in advance, like we have written int num6, and we have also initialized the values of the array. We have given 6 values: 2, 4, 12, 5, 45, and 5. Now, because we have already given the list of the values in advance while declaring the array, the compiler can very well compute that there are 6 values which are to be stored in the array, and therefore giving the size of the array here with n is completely optional. Likewise, for this floating point array press, because we have already given the values 12.3, 34.2, minus 23.4, and minus 11.3, so the compiler already knows that it is going to store 4 values in this array press. So the size of this array need not be explicitly declared during the declaration. Now, till the array elements are not given any specific values, they are supposed to contain garbage values. For example, in this program, because we did not give any values to this array marks in the beginning, all the 30 memory locations are storing garbage. All right, they are storing garbage values. If the array is initialized where it is declared, for example, like this, mentioning the dimension of the array is optional, as I mentioned. Fine. Now, just another interesting question. If the array declaration says int array 8, what happens in the memory when we make this declaration? 16 bytes will get immediately reserved in the memory, assuming 2 bytes for each of the 8 integers. We will assume that the integer data type is represented with 2 bytes, right? Now, because we want to store 8 integers, therefore 16 bytes will immediately get reserved. Now with this, how many bytes in the memory are going to be reserved with this declaration? Now, because it is an array with 30 integers, each integer having 2 bytes, it is going to reserve, this statement itself is going to reserve 30 bytes, 30 into 2, that is 60 bytes. Now, since the array is not being initialized with int array 8, with this statement, the array is being initialized, all the 8 locations here are going to store garbage values. We are declaring the array, but we are not initializing it. We are not giving it any values. Now, the first, second, third, and all these 8 locations are going to store garbage values. If with scanf, now we enter some values in these 8 locations, this is how it will look. Now, just have a look at the actual addresses. Suppose 65508 is the address of the first memory location of array 0th location, right? What is going to be the address of the second element of the array? It is not going to be 65509. It is going to be 65510. Why? Because it is an integer array, and this 12 is going to take 2 bytes to get stored. Now again, now 34 is an integer. It will take, because 2 bytes to store. So the next memory location is going to be at 65512.